What if California, the state that gave us Hollywood? Narrator, Silicon Valley. Narrator. And the questionable decision to put avocado on toast. Narrator. Decided it had finally had enough. Narrator. Imagine this. One morning, California wakes up. Narrator. Looks at the rest of the United States. Narrator. And says, "It's not me, it's definitely you." Narrator. It then packs its bags. Narrator, which are probably designer. Narrator, and filled with organic kale. Narrator, and decides to become its own country. Narrator, this isn't some far-fetched plot from a movie. Narrator, that would ironically be made in California. Narrator, it's a real, albeit fringe idea that pops up every now and then. Narrator, usually when people in Los Angeles get tired of explaining that no, they don't all know Hugh Jackman personally. It's the ultimate political drama, a national breakup of epic proportions. The idea of Calexit is like a recurring character in a sitcom that nobody really asked for but shows up for a dramatic storyline every few seasons. It's the political equivalent of your most successful cousin threatening to start their own family holiday because they're tired of your uncle's political rants at Thanksgiving dinner. California, with an economy bigger than most countries and a population that could fill several smaller nations, sometimes looks in the mirror and sees not just a state, but a nation in waiting. A nation with fantastic weather, incredible scenery, and a truly staggering amount of traffic on the 405 freeway at literally any time of day or night. So, let's take a wild, hypothetical journey into this bizarre alternate reality. What would actually happen if the Golden State decided to go solo? So, why would California, a state that seems to have it all, even consider such a drastic move? Well, it boils down to a simple feeling. They feel like they're in a group project where they're doing all the work. California has a massive economy. If it were a country, it would be rubbing shoulders with Germany, Japan. It's the engine room of America's tech industry, the place where the apps you scroll through while ignoring your family are born. It's also a powerhouse in agriculture, feeding a huge chunk of the nation. Yet, many Californians feel they send more money to Washington than they get back. It's like constantly paying for a pizza party that you're never invited to. On top of the economic arguments, there's a significant political and cultural divide. California often feels like a progressive blue island in a sea of red and purple states. Voters support policies on climate change, immigration, social issues that are often at odds with the direction of the federal government. Imagine being a vegan at a steakhouse convention every day. This constant political tug-of-war is exhausting. They want to set their own rules without arguing with states that have different priorities. This isn't just recent. The idea of California's uniqueness has been around for a long time. It has always been a place of pioneers, dreamers, people trying to escape their past. This independent spirit is baked into its identity. From the gold rush to Hollywood, California has always done things its own way. When the rest of the country zigs, California zags, then trademarks the zag. That feeling of being different fuels the independence fire beyond mere fantasy. Ultimately, it's about self-determination, the belief they could build a fairer, more progressive, more efficient society. Lead on environment, embrace diversity, and invest wealth in its own people. A West Coast utopia or a traffic-jammed metropolis by the beach. Let's imagine the vote has passed. The champagne has been popped, probably from Napa Valley. California is officially its own country. Now what? The morning after. An administrative nightmare of biblical proportions. First problem, the border. That friendly sign becomes an international crossing with passports from Reno to Tahoe. Checkpoints, staffing, customs, import and export paperwork, and traffic jams stretching toward Oregon. Then there's the military. Camp Pendleton, Vandenberg. What happens to those bases? Does California inherit an army, a navy, an air force? Or does the U.S. pack up and leave? The U.S. won't abandon strategic assets. California wants its own defense. Roommates arguing over who keeps the TV that launches satellites. And people. Do residents become Californian citizens? Can they retain U.S. citizenship? Dual passports? Visas to visit grandparents in Arizona? Mountains of paperwork, frantic scramble to create basic national functions, new currency, postal service, aviation authority, replacing the FBI, the EPA, building a new car while driving at 80. Once the dust settles, the new Republic of California would need a government. They'd have to write a constitution. It would be very long, at least 3 chapters about water rights, plus a clause guaranteeing a gluten-free option. Parliamentary system? Presidential republic? Does the governor get promoted to president, or do they elect someone new? Maybe a tech billionaire? Maybe a movie star? President Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Not as far-fetched as you think. Recreating every federal law and institution, a Supreme Court, embassies around the world. Join the UN, form alliances, trade deals, security agreements. 1,000 treaties previously handled by DC Unified Power could be more efficient, but coastal liberal versus inland conservative, NorCal versus SoCal, becomes the national fault line. And bureaucracy, Ministry of Traffic, Department of Drought Management, Bureau of Vibe Control, dreams of sleek government versus clunky machine. Building a nation is slow, expensive, and full of infighting, the kind of slow that makes the DMV look efficient. The economy of an independent California would be a global powerhouse from day one. We're talking about the 5th largest economy in the world, Silicon Valley as crown jewel, Hollywood as cultural export machine, and the Central Valley among the most productive farming regions on Earth. A major player other countries would envy. But California's biggest trading partner is the rest of the US. Suddenly, all that trade meets international tariffs and customs. Almonds to Texas now clear customs. An iPhone designed in Cupertino could face 2 sets of import duties before a New Yorker buys it. Californian goods pricier for Americans and vice versa, hurting both sides. Keep the dollar or launch a Cali dollar, a bear buck. Creating a currency is massive with volatile exchange rates and uncertainty. Without federal backstop, disasters, Social Security, Medicare, all on California's ledger. Economic freedom would come at a very, very high price. For the average person living in the new Republic of California, life would change in big and small ways. Renewed pride, a government more responsive, healthcare and education designed for Californians. A leader in green tech, electric cars everywhere, solar on every roof, a progressive beacon. But the cost of living is already astronomical. Independence could make it worse. U.S. goods become imports with tariffs, new national taxes for military, Social Security, and infrastructure. Freedom of movement changes. Moving next door becomes emigration. Visiting family becomes paperwork. Culturally, California could grow more insular, appealing to some but risking narrower perspective and us versus them mindsets. Different? Certainly. Better? Hotly debated. The feeling of being part of a vast, interconnected nation gives way to a more island-like existence on the Pacific edge. The departure of California would be a devastating blow to the United States. Not just losing a state, more like a vital organ. Economically, the U.S. shrinks, GDP drops. It risks losing its top spot. Without Silicon Valley, it's no longer the default tech leader. Filling the hole would be painfully hard. Politically, losing 54 electoral votes rewrites the playbook, hitting Democrats hardest and polarizing maps. The idea of an indivisible nation from sea to shining sea is shattered. If California leaves, who's next? A domino effect could follow. Produce prices likely rise as imports. Everyday tech costs climb. Hollywood becomes foreign culture on import. The U.S. loses coastline, its most populous state, and a huge slice of its character. America without California is a different, diminished place. For all the utopia talk, water is critical. California relies on imports, particularly the Colorado River. As a new nation, access isn't guaranteed. Treaties with a grumpy ex give the U.S. leverage, the key to the tap. California isn't monolithic. Internal divides become the main event. Regional secession movements could ignite, even calls to rejoin the U.S. The economy leans on tech and entertainment. A downturn without U.S. diversification could be catastrophic. Regulations and costs could drive businesses away. A new, small nation faces big powers, disputes, and security threats. Isolation looms. The golden paradise could sit precariously on the world stage, surrounded by challenges it can't easily handle alone. After this hypothetical soap opera, one big question remains. Is breaking free really the best choice? Independence is alluring. A nation embodying progressive values, wealth reinvested at home, green, and innovative. But the practical realities are terrifying. Untangling economies, building government, currency, and military from scratch. Risks, instability, disasters without federal aid, water shortages, internal fractures, borders, and isolation. There's shared history, deep economic ties, and stability in a larger union. So, what do you think?